Hello everyone. So for today, first of all, happy Diwali. I might post this video later. Uh, so let's start with the problem. So what is the problem that we have chosen today is late code number 56, that is merge intervals. It was a rather difficult one when I first looked at it before solving around 50 to 60 problems in leak code. So first of all, what is the concept behind merge intervals? Not the concept, what is the problem that they are giving us? So we are given an array. So these arrays are intervals. Actually, we have two values, that is the start value and the end value of the interval. So what we need to do is we need to merge all the overlapping intervals. So what do you mean by overlapping intervals? Let's say here we have given 1 comma 3 and 2 comma 6. So this becomes a overlapping interval. How? When you check at the intervals of 1 to 3 and 2 to 6, you would see the space between 1 to 3 and 2 to 6 have some space common between them. So how am I going to say this? Let's take this word as an example. This is my interval 1 and this is my interval number 2. And you can see these three letters were common among the two intervals, right? So that is how we create the overlapping intervals. I mean, they gave us the overlapping intervals like this. What we need to do is we need to merge these two intervals. So that's how simple it is. So what we're going to try to do is we need to merge them. But how we are going to do this? First of all, we need to ensure whether the given intervals are sorted or not, because that is the basic thing. If it is not sorted, we would get to blindly do the merging stuff. mm, because the approach would need a sorted intervals. So what we need to do is now let's get to the code. I already wrote the code, so I will just step in. And yeah, first of all, we need to sort the array, right? And before the solution, I would like to explain how the solution will work. So what we need to do is we need to sort the array, and by for sorting, what we are going to do is we are going to check the intervals, the initial values of the start value of the intervals, and we are going to sort them based on that. So when we sort them here, look at this. This is not a sorted interval, right? So we might get a sorted interval like this or a unsorted one like this. So we need to ensure that the intervals are always sorted. So let's just sort the stuff. Mm, and what we are going to do after the sorting is we would be taking each interval and put them in the a list, let's say appendable list. So we would be using an array list for that. Since I'm using Java, I'm learning Java, so I would use Java for my preference. If you're going with Python, you could use that. You could use Lambda functions or stuff for the stuff that I'm going to use in array. And after that, it is just simple. We will just append it to the list, and we will just pick in each iteration we'll pick the last interval and check that the end part, right, in the interval. So we will check whether the end part is between the current interval of the iteration. So rather than explaining it blindly, let's just code it. So arrange or intervals, arrange. Mm, intervals, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick every element. The two I mean the two values will be the stuffs, okay? So that's stuff in the sense, when you are sorting an array, you would need something like two values, right? You would, the first element or the current element, let's say it is n, and you would get the n plus 1 element for the comparison. So what happens here is we are going to use those two for the part where we need to compare the first elements of them, because the first element or the That what is that? Yeah, the first element or the starting value of the interval, right? Let's just go to integer dot. So if I use integer dot compare, actually compare is a most commonly used function for this stuff, for using it as a condition in sorting. You need not use compare all the time. I will tell you why. Okay, so we have wrote it right. We can just do the same thing without the compare. So what compare essentially does is, uh, when you use compare, compare will give you most probably three values. It will give you a negative value or a positive value or zero. How? It will give you zero if two elements are the same, have the same value. It will give you a positive value if the stuff that you have currently did right, the comparison, the first element is greater than the second element, it will give you a positive value. It will give you a negative value if it is vice versa of the positive constraint. What is that? If the second element is greater than the first element, it will give you a negative value. So what we're going to do is, we can just can just remove this stuff. Like how we are going to do this, just remove this. Oh my god. And what we're going to do now is, we will just create a condition, obviously. A of the first element of A is greater than the first element of the second value. We would need a positive value, right? Let's say I will give 1. But if it is not, it might mean that the A naught is equal to B of the B's first value, or the second value is greater. So for that we need to check whether the constraint follows. So what we're going to do is, we will add another condition here. So this condition ensures that if both values are same, the stuff gets answered. So if it is -1, it means the second value is the greatest. So that's it. That's how we are going to do this. So this will ensure the thing works even if we don't use the compare. So let's get to the next part. And for now, we are going to do is, we are going to use an integer list, which is a array, and we are adding a merged, which is the array list, which will get you the values. I mean, you can add them, right? So that's why we are going to use this. So for now, what we are going to do is, we need to add them to that, right? So for int of, it is an already an it is already an list of array, right? So what we're going to do now is, we need to add the elements into the array list. So for that, what we're going to do is, we need to check it. What we need to check, if the initial condition, the initial condition of the loop is to add the first interval into the array list. So what we're going to do is, we need to check whether the initial array list is empty or not. If it is empty, we will add it. Or if it is under the constraint of the interval, let's say there is already an pushed interval inside this list. So for example, let us consider the 1 comma 3 as an example, and 2 comma 6 as an example. So for that, what we are going to do is, we will always push this 1 comma 3 into the array list, and 2 comma 6 will get pushed after checking, but this will overlap. This is a overlapping interval, so we will just use something else. So let's say 4 comma 6. So here there is no overlapping interval. So if this gets used, how it will get used? So 1 comma 3 will get pushed, right? And I want this whole stuff to be pushed inside. Since it is not a overlapping interval, I want this to be pushed. So what I'm going to check is the first value of this and the last value of this should be follow the constraint of 3 is less than 4, right? So this is when we know that this is not a overlapping interval. So now what we are going to do is we will just get the last value of the merged array list. So for that, what we are going to do is we'll use a get function, and inside the get function there will be uh, you need to add the index height. So we will use the size function to get the current size of the array list, and we will minus 1 since it is a 0 indexed. We need to minus 1. So it's not more like index. We are just minusing 1 to get its position. So after that, what we're going to do is, since it returns an array, right? So we will need the last element, right? The last element, that is 1, is less than the current interval's first value, that is 0, and we close the bracket. So let me just check whether the brackets are correctly closed or not. So it is not correctly closed. So yeah, now it is closed. So we will just push them. Manager dot add the current interval as it is, and if it is not the first element or the element without overlapping stuff, we need to push them, right? Push the merged stuff, right? So how we are going to push them is, as the let's take this one as an example, 1 comma 3 and 2 comma 6. So when I'm taking this as an example, I need to do something called here's the thing. uh, Here's the stuff can be like, if it is 4, it can be 4, or it can be 2, it can be anything like that. So what I need to do is I need to find the maximum of these two values, and what I'm going to do is I will just maximum of this value and this value, because this can, let's say this can be 6 and this can be okay 26, it also works out, so there is nothing issue with that. So if it is if the first interval's ending value is greater than the whole interval itself, this interval would fit inside this interval. So what we need to do is we just need to check the ending element. Okay, if the we will just check the ending element, which is the greatest, that will be the new ending element. And since it is sorted, we will know the start values the same as the one that you got from the merged array list. So let's just remove this. So what I'm going to do is, as I said, I'm going to edit the array, right? So I will just use the get function, and I will use the last element, right? So size. Okay. So since I'm going to use this, I'm using the whole array. Um, See why whole array? Just you would need to edit the last element, right? Since the starting element doesn't change, so just take the last element, and let's use the maximum max function to get the value. So here what we need to do is we need to check the two values. I'll just put a semicolon here, I will forget it later. So what we need to do is we need to find the greatest value, merged dot get of merge dot size minus 1, obviously 1, and comma the current index intervals value. interval of 1. So that is how you do it, and you will get, yeah. So here's the thing. Here you will get the merged interval into the array list. So for our sake, let's just what we have asked. We need to send it as a two-dimensional array, right? It is not a list, it is an array. So what we are going to do is we need to return it, right? So we can use a function called toArray. So what it essentially does is it converts your list into an array. But here's the thing, it converts it into a object array, not a integer array, since we are returning it in the type of int array, right? Yeah, why I'm typing these comments? Okay, yeah, you are asked to return it as an integer array. Integer array. I don't know how to tell that. Integer to a two-dimensional integer array. So yeah, I need to mention what I'm returning. So let's say I'm returning a new integer array. So this will tell that I'm creating a new array. So I'm pretty sure I made a mistake. Yeah, I made it. What is this? Yeah, it's a two-dimensional array. Yeah. And I need to mention the dimensions, right? Since it has no idea on what are the dimensions are, I need to mention the dimensions. It is the same as the array list, right? So just give the merged array size, and now we can run this. Yeah, what is the error here? Um, hmm, yeah, semicolon here. There is, it is inside, and you should not put semicolons within the parameters. And I've made another mistake. Array is required. I've put, my God. So just completely baffled by the mistake that I've done here. Array is required, but integer is found. So what happened here is I've what did it say? To add convert to integer. Here's the stuff that I missed. It is a two-dimensional stuff. What do you mean by two-dimensional? What are you trying to say? No, it is a not an integer object. Yeah, it is an array, right? What I was thinking when I typed this. It was an integer array. I was just using the wrapper class integer. That's why it didn't run. So yeah, stuff works now. So I'll just submit it. Yeah, it works. So I don't want to waste your guys' time anymore. I just wanted to spend the whole solving process with you guys. So thank you for sticking around, and see you guys in the next video. So bye.